Barnyard. It seems like a rare occurrence for Nickelodeon to not only make great shows, but also to make great movies based off their shows, like SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, the Rugrats, and so much more. The one movie that I found to be the most interesting and funniest was Barnyard, released in 2006, which would later on have a cartoon show called Back at the Barnyard. I will admit that Barnyard is a very unique animated feature and a very funny show. So now that the farmer's away, will these animals show us how to party like crazy? Or should we feed this movie to the coyotes? Let's find out for ourselves, shall we? The story. The one thing I find most interesting about Barnyard is its story, because not only is it funny and creative, but it also has a very strong message about looking out for others. The story follows a cow named Otis who loves having fun with his friends, but his dad Ben wants him to take the rules of the barnyard more seriously, because later on, a bunch of coyotes come around and are trying to steal some chickens, but his dad then later fights them off, but dies in the process. So now, with his dad gone, Otis has to learn the ways of being more responsible. It's a unique message that's not really used in a lot of animated features, but with Barnyard, it's something special. Because the message is so well put out, it brings out a very unique, how do I say this? Feeling to the movie, where you also have a lot of fun with it. The message is the one thing you'll remember most throughout the story, and I feel like it's really put in well. The story has a few problems here and there when the comedy can get in the way when either with Otis's friends, or when Otis is just goofing off and trying to traumatize a kid.
That's called boy tipping!
I will admit that the story does have its ups and downs, but even Nickelodeon can find a way to make a very good story. The animation. The one thing I also find interesting about Barnyard is its animation. Now you think since this is a Nickelodeon movie, it would be animated at its original studio, right? Well, not exactly, because the real effects were done at O-Mation Animation Studios, where Steve O and his team did a wonderful job bringing the world of this barnyard to life. And there is just one thing that bothers me. I understand that Otis is a cow, but think about it. Why is he a cow? I mean, I understand because it is a cartoon, and well, I guess I shouldn't judge cartoon logic because he's a boy and he has udders, so he should have been a bull. But you know, it's a cartoon and I won't judge. Another thing I also find interesting about the movie is the backgrounds, where they have this realistic design, and even though they don't look completely great, because, you know, computer animation was still early back in the day, but I feel like with Barnyard, the animation is actually pretty solid, where if they're at a barn, or a meadow, or a junkyard, wherever they go, the animation still looks great either way. The animation does have a few problems here and there, but I can still say the animation is still as beautiful as ever. The characters. What's a barnyard without barn animals, am I right? The one thing I love most about Barnyard is the characters themselves, because they come up funny, unique, and sometimes even scary. Let's start off with our main man, or as a matter of fact, main cow, Otis. He always listens to the rules, but later on is put in charge when things get out of hand. The one who was destined to put him in charge is his dad, Ben, who was in charge of the barnyard after a little incident with the coyotes. As for the rest of the characters, they're usually there just to help out Otis any way he can, or they're just to be a little bit of a threat. A few other characters that are there are also some of Otis's friends, and possibly a love interest. The love interest of the movie is Daisy, a pregnant cow who arrives with her best friend Bessie. At first, she finds Otis to be a little funny, but Bessie on the other hand does not find Otis all to be, but later on she grows a liking to him. As for the other characters, there are also a bunch of comic reliefs, with the three Jersey cows, Ig, Bud, and Eddie, who later join Otis for a little revenge plot as they go ahead to a little boy's house so they can tip him out of his bed for a little boy tipping.
That's called boy tipping!
That sounded a lot better in my head. But then enter the main villain of the movie, Dag the Coyote. Now you're thinking, for a silly movie like this, you would expect the coyote villain to be like Wile E., right? Well, not exactly. With Wily, he's a Looney Tunes character who usually gets into a lot of trouble. With Dag, he's a much more threatening villain where he really is a character you don't want to come across. He's like Scar from The Lion King, where if you mess with him, he messes with you. There are a few other characters that come from here to there, but they're only there just to be for a cameo or just to be there for a joke. Like the farmer, the one in charge, and the one who owns the barnyard, the Beaties who live next door, and Snotty Boy, a boy who loves to tip over cows and is the boy that Otis and his friends got revenge on. The characters are only there for one purpose and one purpose only, to make you laugh and to give out the message. And I believe that's all you need from characters like these. And if you like these characters, then I'm sure you'll have a great time with them. For what it's worth, this is not only another great animated feature, but it is one of Nickelodeon's most funniest movies ever. Barnyard is an absolute classic with a great story, beautiful animation, and characters that are really funny. My recommendation is that, well, just go watch the movie. You will have a great time with this. And even though they might just be a bunch of talking animals, they're still clever, unique, and utterly hilarious.